Okay, hi. Thanks very much for coming along. My name's Jim Irving. I'm head of video at Delta Tray, and this session is on one of our products, DIVA, which is our data integrated video application. Just a couple of quick things. You can probably tell that I'm from London. So just to manage expectations, which I think is always really important when presenting. One, you should probably know that my background is very much production. It's not technical. I spent 10 years or 15 years at the BBC making sports programs for a famous show over there called Match of the Day, which has been running since the mid-60s. So apologies if it's not as technical as some people would like, but I have colleagues in the room, and there are certainly people that we can put you in touch with. The other thing is that I'm obviously very much aware that we're in the US. I will refer to football when I mean soccer, so apologies for that. We English, we don't quite understand the reference to football when you throw a ball 10 yards, but we have a sport where you throw the ball backwards, which I think is even worse. So that's really just to kick off. Okay, I'm not going to give you a big sell about Delta Tray. This is very much about DIVA, how the product has come about. So the presentation falls into two very distinct sections. The first is around how DIVA has come about, and then the second half is very much around the application for Sky Sports, which is, for those who don't know, is a big satellite broadcaster in the UK, and huge number of channels, but sport's very much the driving force for their offering. And then I'll rattle through these, and if people have questions at the end, then I'll try and make some time. So really, just something about Delta Tray, really just kind of what our focus is, if you like, our sort of mission statement, if you like, is really about creating products and services that enrich the experience of every sports fan in the world. And for us, that's exactly what DIVA does. It's a really, really compelling application that really adds value to the sports fan. So it's giving something extra over and above what they perhaps get from a linear TV broadcast. And we think that is really why Sky has begun to work with us on developing the product and developing the solution. And we've begun piloting, well, more than piloting, we've been offering it as a service to their client base since the round of 16 of the Champions League. So, why is DIVA the right product at the right time in our view? We think that there's a real explosion in terms of what's happening in video on the web or through multiple devices, be that tablets or smartphones. A lot of those brands, certainly 5 years ago, I think YouTube is 5.5 years old. iPlayer, I think, went live in the UK around 2007. Some of them are a lot newer than that. So there's clearly been, I'm sure as everybody appreciates in the room, there's been a real explosion in online video. And so just how we kind of saw the market at the time. So I should start by saying that DIVA really came about in 2007, and I'll give you a little bit of history in a second. But around that sort of period of time in 2007, these are the types of things that were happening. Higher quality video technology was really becoming of age with products like iPlayer in the UK and very similar platforms and technologies in the US. More and more HD, so more and more HD being acquired. And really, the technology was starting to evolve for the content distribution networks to start to deliver HD in more and more impressive ways. And a key driver for us, and very much at the heart of DIVA, is really around the sport-specific data. It's an area that we at Delta Tray are very big in. We provide data services for things like the FIFA World Cup. So we had over 100 people in South Africa last year, and a lot of those were part of a big team that were acquiring and aggregating and delivering data. And you'll see why data is so important as we move into the presentation. And just Increased demand, user base, it's still growing. It's still, relatively small when you put it up against those big TV shows. But, sport is clearly a driver in this space, as it was in the satellite industries. Sport, we think, is a big driver in terms of the delivery of online content. And social is a very big part. We think that social is key. Social's baked into all of the things that we do. It allows people to, it gives a sense of community around the experience. So when, yes, there are times when you can get your friends together and go down to the local bar, but often people are more disparate than that. And these types of tools give us the opportunity to deliver a far more social experience. So what is DIVA? Okay, DIVA is a very high quality video player. So it uses Silverlight adaptive bitrate technology that allows us to deliver streams from just a few hundred kilobits right up to 3.6 megabit. It's detail synchronized data, so the ability to navigate through the data, which really gives an enhanced experience for the user. We think state-of-the-art design. You may not. Design is a very personal thing, but you'll sort of see it's quite a flexible design. So obviously, from a commercial perspective, we want to be able to sell the product to multiple broadcasters, multiple sports rights holders. So the ability for, in this case, Sky, to be able to brand the player in a simple but elegant way is really important. And intuitive navigation, it needs to be simple. In my view, technology that is simple is always successful. And, DIVA is a very simple technology to use. And again, we'll hopefully see that. And also, as I've just mentioned, social is a big part of it. Okay, so how did DIVA come about? Really, the birth of the platform was through a really exciting project that we did with NBC. So in 2007, we were approached by NBC to work with them on really kind of monetizing and commercializing the value of the Olympic Games. They have a fantastic Olympic offering, but they saw an even greater opportunity to gain, more value from that in the online space. And we work very closely with Microsoft, NBC, and a small set of other partners to really build and develop a compelling kind of digital video experience. And that was very successful. NBC were able to kind of commercialize that offering far quicker than they expected. And suddenly, the concept of building a product, which is, in all honesty, not something that Delta Tray has done an awful lot of in the past. We've been around for 25 years, but DIVA is one of a small set of products that we now have on the market. And really, the NBC experience was very powerful, very positive, and was really the start of what has now become DIVA. Off the back of 2008, last year, just over a year ago, so early part of 2010, we kind of took the technology, enhanced it. I'll show you some of the functionality a little later, but we really kind of added functionality, more data, more ways of searching the video, linking the video to the data, being able to interrogate it, and we also expanded the client base. So again, we work very closely with NBC, working on their winter sports this time, which was a whole new set of data, which threw up a whole new set of challenges, but very exciting. You wouldn't believe the number of rules that sports like snowboarding have. It was a real revelation to me. Off the back of Vancouver and our work with NBC, we also did a site build for CTV, which had DIVA very much at the heart of it. And NRK was very interesting. So in the case of NBC and CTV, we were building complete sites, but for NRK, we were purely delivering the video solution, the video and the data solution. So the rest of the site was built by NBC, and we were delivering a very specific section of that. And that really kind of proved the possibility and the value of having a product. So we kind of moved on from there. This I warn you, is about as technical as the presentation gets. Okay, so as long as you can understand this, we'll be absolutely fine. So really, the purpose of this slide is actually to show that DIVA is just an output. Okay, it's actually just a way of viewing what is effectively a very, very sophisticated metadata platform. So where it says Delta Trade platform, and you've obviously got varying types of video content, logging information, crowdsourcing through social, text description, and sports data. What powers DIVA is a platform which we actually call Fast Forward. And Fast Forward is able to take all of that different types of data and then deliver it to the viewer dependent on the client's needs. So, for example, in the case of DIVA, the vast majority of what the user sees is sports data. It could be actually a production offering, so it could be a way of viewing content within a production environment, in which case logging information might be far more valuable. If it's a sports club, so in the UK, if it's someone like Manchester United, or over here, I don't know, Green Bay or whoever, they might be much more interested in the social data. So it's a very, very flexible platform, which is absolutely key, because obviously, as we all know, devices and new technology is evolving all the time, and that's obviously shown in terms of the way that we can sort of syndicate to other platforms. So really, this is kind of really just demonstrating the fact that as a platform, Fast Forward, that sits which sits behind DIVA, it really gives us the flexibility to be able to deliver that content to multiple devices. And we already have a prototype for an iPad version. We'll obviously have a connected TV version coming online very soon, and we're also working on the various platforms in the smartphone market, be it iOS or Android or RIMS. So it really means that we've done the hard work already and delivering the content in a variety of ways to the different platforms. As I said at the very start, I'm not a technician, but I'm told is very, very straightforward. But some of my colleagues may disagree. But yeah, again, this is really just highlighting the fact that we're working with a variety of platforms, a variety of operating systems and browsers, and those will kind of come online as the product becomes more and more mature. And it really has to be multi-channel. So it is about integrating a really kind of powerful Twitter and Facebook experience, because, as I said earlier, social is really at the key part of what we do, and the ability to interact with colleagues, friends, etc., in a sports environment. In our experience, having done this for 25 years, we think is really important. Okay, just to say that there are some challenges, and there is clearly some infrastructure that is required. A lot of technical support. Obviously, we're in the very early stages of deploying DIVA, but in terms of what you'll see in a little bit later in the presentation, in terms of actually managing the data, the pictures are relatively straightforward. We're in the case of Sky, that we're given a signal from them that's delivered to BT Tower, which is the kind of main entry point for the vast majority of circuits in and out of the UK, BT being the kind of the big communications business in the UK. So getting the pictures to our operations centre, which you can see there in Turin, is relatively straightforward. That's just a straight feed delivered from Sky. In terms of actually collecting, managing, and then inputting the data, that does take a lot more work. And again, I haven't got time to go into the specifics of that, but happy to talk to people offline if they've got any specific questions. But it does require a reasonably large amount of infrastructure. So at the moment, we're only managing a couple of games for the Champions League project, but obviously when the new season starts in the September time, we're going to need far more infrastructure because we'll be managing 8 concurrent games. And as you'll see it in a little while, the ability to kind of move between different games and different experiences is a key part of the offering, rather than just being fixed in that linear mode, to be able to jump around and be alerted to what's happening when there are 8 matches happening simultaneously, which is, from Sky's perspective, an extremely valuable proposition. This sorts of technology really maximises that, and the infrastructure which is listed there really helps to ensure that the product is delivered successfully. Hosting is obviously a key part of this, hosting and distribution. So the ability to deliver adaptive streams so that the end user doesn't see buffering. They see a seamless experience, which obviously the picture degrades or improves dependent on their internet connection. Current infrastructure, certainly in the UK, really does require that. I live in the middle of London, and my internet connection varies enormously. That's going to improve, so the government tell me, and I'm sure there are similar challenges in the US. But working with partners such as Akamai and Microsoft clearly allows us to develop the technology and offer the very, very best solution. Okay, hopefully that kind of all made sense. So to talk a little bit about Sky Sports. I'm sure most people in the room are familiar with Sky. For those that aren't, they're part of, they're about to become completely part of the larger News Corp organisation. They're the kind of main satellite player in the UK, and really by some distance, they have the biggest rights portfolio and a huge array of sports. But football is certainly in the UK. I know. NFL clearly is and baseball are the big sports over here, but we say in the UK that there is football and then there is everything else. So it really is a key driver in terms of the technology. So this is just a screen grab from the skysports.com/event centre. The reason for this slide is really just to show that. Despite offering a completely rounded service to Sky, so we take the signal, we collect the data, we manage the data, we bake the two things together, we host the video, we distribute that for them. There was a certain amount of bespoke development within the project. Sky, being a subscription-based commercial entity, didn't want just anybody to be able to access the service. They only wanted their paying Sky Sports subscribers to do that. And again, that required a certain amount of bespoke development. So we've been able to integrate into their subscriber base. So as a Sky Sports subscriber, I go onto their site, I log in, the content is made available to me. But as soon as I access that content, I'm actually, although as a Sky Sports client I won't know that, but I am actually taken into the sort of Delta Tray world. But everything obviously is clearly branded as a Sky Sports offering. So just to give you a taster of how they've sort of publicised the service, this is how they pushed out the offering to their customers.
Introducing a new way to watch the UEFA Champions League online. Welcome to the Sky Sports Event Centre. Never miss a moment from any of our live matches with our exclusive timeline features. Keep your finger on the pulse with live player stats, as well as match-related video available at the touch of a button. Sky Sports Event Centre. Complete control how you want it.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this, but the words Sky Television and subtle don't always go hand in hand. They're quite strong in their messaging. So, just to give a sort of view of the application. So here we're in the video hub. This is along the bottom. We're able to see replay matches, so we can go through and view any of the matches that have happened in previous rounds. We can search for a specific team. based on the criteria, and then we're given a choice between watching either as live or in highlights. So, because this is video on demand and not the live experience, as live doesn't give away the score, so we don't see it. We're actually watching the highlights version here, but in the as live mode, we wouldn't see all of the metadata at the bottom of the line until the timeline had got to that point, and then we can see here that we've already jumped to a goal. So we've clicked on the icon at the bottom of the timeline bar, and we've jumped to specifically the point in time where Messi has scored. Not only do we need to use the timeline to navigate, we've got play-by-play, and that gives us a much more detailed view of every single incident that's happened in the match. So if we want to see shots on target, again, we've jumped to another Barcelona, or actually an Arsenal goal in this instance. There were, from memory, I think there were far more Barcelona goals than there were Arsenal goals, sadly, for any Arsenal fans in the audience. But we've also got things like team stats, so we can see exactly what's happening in the match from a statistical perspective, from a team perspective. Again, we've just jumped to see Messi's penalty. So the red icon there is actually an own goal. So if you're wondering why there are some of the white goal icons are white and some of them are red, here we're looking at player stats, so we can compare any player in the squad. And the important thing here is that shots on target, everything is linked to the data in the timeline. So if I jump backwards, the data jumps backwards. If I jump forwards, the data jumps forwards. This is a really good example. This is using heat maps, so this is using optical tracking technology, which allows you to see the position of every player on the pitch. So at the moment, we're just sort of cycling through the players. But those heat maps, if I click to the start of the timeline, those heat maps would show me the original position of the squad. Again, with passes, we see different amounts of passes. And then over here, we're able to sort of share what we're doing, either through Facebook or Twitter. We're also able to zoom into the timeline. So, you know, if we're using a larger screen and we want to get closer to the timeline action, we hit the zoom button and we're able to zoom into that. I know that was really, really quick, but I'm very, very conscious of time. And what we can do, if anybody wants to take a much closer look at the product, we can obviously make that available to people. But in terms of the features that Sky have picked out themselves, what they're really, really publicising on the sites, really is the fact that there is a huge amount of match stats and heat maps from the analytics that we've had. People love the analytics. It's a real kind of key drive. The heat maps are a real kind of key drive for them. They really like to understand. I think like a lot of American sports, soccer is very stats focused, and the heat maps and the position of players on the pitch, I think, really plays to that strength. The timeline, obviously, the ability to not miss a moment. And social media, I can't really emphasise enough. I've just got a couple of screen grabs so I can talk about them in a bit more detail. Lineups, really, really key. I often come into a match late, never quite sure who's on the pitch, who's off the pitch. If I haven't seen the lineups pre-match, this from the feedback, from the anecdotal feedback that we've had is really, really liked. Player stats, so the ability to compare players from contrasting teams. Often in a soccer match, there are two very, very high-profile players that are playing against each other. So the ability to look at their stats, live and over the course of a match and see that update is really, really powerful. And the final thing is, as I said, heat maps. These sort of three areas are the kind of key areas that, we've only been doing this for a few weeks now, but these are the real kind of strong areas that the feedback we've had through our colleagues from Sky. Just a nice quote from our colleagues Sky. Important to point out that's not the British Prime Minister. He just has the same name, but Dave Cameron is head of Sky Sports Network Media and our client, and. Very early days. We've only been doing this for a couple of months, but they're really, really pleased with what's happened. And then just a couple of slides, really, what's next? I think, for Delta Tray, I think there are two big opportunities, one this year, one next year. So the one this year is the Rugby World Cup, which I think is very, very exciting. Very similar sort of functionality, obviously much more in-depth stats in rugby. I think I read, or talking to one of my colleagues, there's about 300 sort of key statistical incidents within a football match, and there's about 1,000 in a rugby match. So, one could possibly argue that DIVA for a sport like rugby could be even more powerful than it could be for a sport like football. And then, final slide, really, the big one that certainly everybody in London is very excited about. London 2012, which I think is around the 27th, 28th of July next year. That is it. Apologies if that was quite a rattle through, but I had quite a lot to get through. But thank you very much for your attention. If anybody has any questions, or if people want to come and speak to me afterwards, you're very welcome. Thank you.
I was just wondering how I assume you're using Silverlight adaptive streaming, so how do you get that to work on the iPad?
Ooh. I've actually got a colleague of mine, I don't know. Master, do you want to just go to the microphone and we can sort of pick up your...
Hi all.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. So the iPad version is another product, so it's developed for the iPad. What is the same thing is the streaming, because smooth streaming is able to be delivered also for the iPad and iOS. So we have the same stream, but it's a different code base. So.
Great. Any more? No? Okay, thank you.